Okay, good evening, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me clearly, and let me know what you think of the light. I've turned off that light and I've turned some other lights on. See if it's a better light. Yeah, if it's better like this than with that other light on, maybe type 1 or something like that. Pablo Pina's here. We've got Thomas Dean. I saw Rumpelstiltskin is here. It's almost 6 a.m. In Japan, Monday. Spock 2024 says gambling is a sin. Silver Beast, hello, Silver Beast. Jim Millward, hi, Jim. He says loud and clear. Good. Rick Roy from Montreal. Bonjour de Montréal. Billy is here. There he is. He had his hair cut this week. Seyhan from Bristol in the UK. That's a port in Turkey, isn't it? Seyhan, I think. Long John Silver. Lighting looks a little bright. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's see. Maybe let's turn. Is that better? Steve Michaels from Florida. Yeah, I had a haircut. Is that better now, the light? I turned one of the lights off. Let me know if it's a bit clearer. Not better. Lighting is not good. Oh, I'll turn it back on. Oh, someone says much better. Okay. Looks golden, but not natural. The problem is the light bulbs now, they're all like LEDs. You don't have the old bulbs. You can't get them anymore. So they're kind of yellowish. That's the problem. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Then I'll turn on the normal light. There you go. Turn this off. So there we go. I think that's better. Dylan Roberts from North Wales. Dylan is a regular. Sam Bally Dance Radio. Over here in gold says in gold we trust. Silver's my friend. Ken Goods and acquaintance. That's right. Manic Miner says save energy. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the light on all the time, but it's dark here. It's almost 9 p.m. London. It's getting darker earlier and earlier as we go towards Christmas. Sorry, Jillian B says it's better. That's good. So the title of the live stream is The Old Lady of Threadneedle Street Will Have Her Pound of Flesh. So for those of you who don't know, the Old Lady of Threadneedle Street is a nickname for the Bank of England. There's an old story to it. I'm not too, I've forgotten now exactly why, but yeah, the Bank of England is called the Old Lady. And that's what we're going to look into today. And we're going to look at some of the, what's come out of this budget in the UK. And I think it's important for people all around the world, not just in the UK, because what happens here probably happens in most of the major Western countries. And I think what they're trying to do is really nefarious, but not surprising that they have to do it. Lorraine Dilks from New Zealand. Al Safford. Rumpelstiltskin, Mary, don't worry about lights. You can't please all the people. Yeah, you can't please all the people all the time, right? Francesca Masso, good evening, Francesca. Evola sunglasses. The light has taken 20 years off you. You look very handsome today. Thank you. Finland is awake. That's the end game. Matt Bittner, the conversation content is what matters. I agree. Rosie Giordano, for each ounce of gold, how many ounces of silver should average person have? Sorry, I just need a sip of my water. I think it's very personal how much gold or silver people have. Some people prefer silver and they have a lot more silver. Some people prefer gold. It's up to you. And you have to look at it, I think, in terms of savings, what your financial situation is, where you live, the cost of living where you live. It's a decision. I think it's like saving cash, in my opinion. It's not investing, having physical gold and silver. Captain Banana, Nasser Siaf, Jeff Logue, Neil Moy, what's the difference between government bonds imploding and corporate bond market collapsing? What do you think is more likely? Can it be avoided? Well, they're both loans. The government bond market, government bonds are loans that the government takes, securitized, and corporate bonds are the same, but it's for corporations. Yes, actually, if the government bond market, it's tricky because if the government bond market goes, that means the currency goes. So even if a corporation, for example, has a lot of assets, productive assets, but it's borrowed money in, let's say, pounds, their bonds will collapse as well. It's probably good for them because that will write off their debt, but it's bad for creditors. So that's the situation. Belly Dance Radio says thumbs up. Current energy bills, yes, they have been creeping up, John Cook, and I think they'll probably creep up next year. They're lifting the budget. They said they're going to lift the I can't think. They're going to lift the limit from 2,500 a year on average to 3,000. The ceiling, I want to say. We got Paul Stahl from Outer Mongolia, Mark 1776. Joseph Mario Morich is in Israel. Yeah, Seyhan says he's not heard of a port called Seyhan. The reason I remember that is because I worked as an intern when I was at university in Switzerland in the shipping company and ship management company in Geneva, Switzerland. And they always used to talk about the ship, the ship is going to Seyhan in Turkey. So that's why I remember it. Joker Alpha from the Pacific Northwest. David, Kevin Flug, or do any central banks own silver or their metallic holdings exclusively gold? I think most of them are gold. I heard some years ago that the Russian central bank had some silver, so the Russians might have some silver. A&P, good evening. Yeah, Billy's over here, is asleep. Yeah, Empire of the City is a good book. I have that on my shelf. DJ is here, No. Matt Bittner, is there any new plans for oil and gas drilling in England? No, but in the budget, they said there's a new plan to build a new nuclear reactor, but no oil and gas. The UK passed this Climate Change Act back in 2008, in September of 2008, right when We had the great financial crisis. Lehman was collapsing. I think it was almost a unanimous vote in Parliament, in the House of Commons. Like, there's only 5 MPs that voted against it. So unfortunately, we have this Climate Change Act, which is the law, and they're trying to move away from these oil and gas sources of energy, unfortunately. And that's one of the things that we'll talk about today, because I think it's making things a lot worse, this Climate Change Act. I interviewed actually one of the MPs who voted against that in 2008. His name is, well, he's a Lord now. He's in the House of Lords, Lord Lilly. So if you go onto my YouTube channel and search under videos, Lord Lilly, I did an interview about that with him. Richard Spiller, I'm well, thank you. And you? Good to see you. Good evening from Paris, Olivier Leroy. So over here, oh, we've got someone from Yekaterinburg in Russia, Anton Spogy, Gordon Hamilton. Mary, I believe I heard JP Morgan Chase has millions of ounces of silver. Yeah, I mean, there's always been talk that they hold a lot of silver, whether it's for them or for a big client, who knows? Scoobyism, no, I haven't played any golf. Yeah, I've been busy doing other stuff this weekend. I went out for lunch, my wife and I today. It was a nice day. It was very cold, but it was sunny. I'm not joking. Just listened to an interview of Shamata saying startups should have money for 9 quarters of cash for 2025. Thinks hell is coming by the sound. I don't know who Shamata is, but anyway. So it's 9 o'clock. A lot of you are probably here already. So we'll talk about a little bit about what I mean by the old lady of Threadneedle Street will have her pound of flesh. Yeah, that's a reference to the Merchant of Venice and the fact Shylock, he wanted his pound of flesh. They couldn't pay his loan back. It's basically yeah, an expression where you're really unreasonable to someone and you expect a lot from them. And I think that's what's happening in the UK. It's going to happen in other countries. This budget that we've had by the new government, which a lot of people think was a coup, Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt. After all, Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, they actually were voted in by the whole Conservative Party, not just the MPs. So that's what the Conservative Party nationwide wanted. Yes, their budget was probably not the best budget presented. It rattled the markets, and it rattled the Bank of England. I think that's what it did. And why is that? Well, because the Bank of England owns a lot of government debt. And if government debt melts down, the Bank of England melts down. And I think this was a coup by the Bank of England, because the central banks and the bankers, they control everything because they control the money. And they didn't want Liz Truss or Kwasi Kwarteng, and that's what they did. And they brought someone in. Basically, they're puppets. Am I saying Andrew Bailey is telling them what to do? No, but the people above them, I think they're saying you got to do this and this and this. And what are they going to do? Well, the budget is going to hurt basically everyone except the very wealthy. Of course, they usually don't get hurt. And it's also funneling a lot of help to pensioners and people on benefits, unemployed, and they're going to even help people with their mortgages from March next year. But the people in the middle, they're going to get punished. They didn't really raise taxes, but what they've done is that they're going to freeze the tax thresholds. until 2028, which is going to take a lot of people to higher tax brackets, going to pay a lot more tax. And why is that? Because they're going to inflate away. And we're going to look at quite a few charts. And I'll show you what's going on. So how do they inflate away the debt? Well, they keep interest rates below the inflation rate. So they punish savers. And yes, and they keep printing because the government hasn't, if you look at the budget, they haven't really stopped the spending. So what they've tried to do is to control the bond market, and mainly because the Bank of England owns so much of the government bonds. So what I wanted to show you here is because a lot of times people say, oh, the UK debt situation is better than the rest of the world. We have less than 100% debt to GDP. But I'm going to show you something that will demonstrate that that's not the case. So I've got this here from icaew.com, which is, let's have a look who they are. Yeah, they're an institution, an accounting institution. But anyway, they have here the public debt of the UK. So you see here the owed to the Bank of England, 1,000 billion, that's a trillion. And if you scroll down here, it says our chart this week on public debt, illustrating how public sector gross debt is currently in the region of 2.7 trillion. So, and the Bank of England owns 1 trillion of that 2.7 trillion. So keep that in mind. And this was from September 2022. So this is fairly fresh data. So now I've got a PDF here of the autumn statement or the budget from the UK that came out last week. And I'm going to share with you the, so here, hold on. So here's the public debt, but they've made it net debt. And look at this, excluding the Bank of England. So when I've heard people say, well, the reason, this is not a crisis. Our debt is a lot lower than America. The States has 130% debt to GDP. We haven't even got 100%, but that's not counting a trillion of the Bank of England debt. If you added the Bank of England debt, like the 31 trillion debt in the US, that counts all the debt. That counts the debt that the Fed holds. It would be more like 130%. So what I'm trying to say, things are not as good. And why don't they count the Bank of England debt? Well, because the Bank of England is supposedly a public institution. But I would say the way to look at it, the debt that the Bank of England holds, for example, it will either mature, right? So the government is going to have to pay them the cash, or they're going to sell it onto the private sector through QT. So that will always be there. And if the Bank of England lets it mature, it's going to want the cash from the government. And how's the government going to pay the Bank of England when the debt matures? Well, it's going to have to issue more debt. So it's very, I think it's really a bad thing, not transparent, to show all the debt and exclude the Bank of England debt. So this country is not in a good position in terms of debt. That's another reason why I think this budget is not going to work. So I'll take some. So what they're trying to do is they have been inflating the system for decades. but the analogy is the analogy of the frog in the boiling water, in the pot with boiling water. I think they've turned up the heat now, and it's boiling a little bit quicker. They have to be very careful, but that's why I'm saying they want the Bank of England or the old lady of Threadneedle Street. They want us taxed and working so that we have to pay our taxes to keep the value of the debt stable, because or else the Bank of England balance sheet is going to collapse. But I think it could collapse nevertheless, because if you punish the private sector as much as they're going to punish in the next 5-6 years, you're going to punish the economy. You're going to get no tax revenues. So in a way, I'm not sure they're going to succeed. And hopefully, many of you who have been following this channel have prepared, have gotten out of debt, have stacked a little bit. And I'm not here to say that you can just live off gold and silver and get out of that and everything will be all right. Of course, each one of us has our own specialty in terms of doing what we do, jobs and professions and businesses. I'm not here to tell you how to run that, but I'm here to try to tell you what's going on. And I think it's not going to get better. I think yes, the CPI, or what they call inflation, might come off a little bit in the next few years, but I don't think it's going to come off as much as they think. And with that, I'm going to show you. And to my viewers elsewhere in the world, I know this is in the UK, but I think they're trying to do this everywhere, be it in the US, Canada, Japan, in the EU. So this is the, you see, autumn statement. These are the OBR. So the OBR is Office of Budget Responsibility. It was created in 2010 by the Conservative government, supposedly to be like an independent watchdog of public finances. And all they do is forecast and tell the government of the day whether their budget is like realistic. But, you know, who can forecast things like 5 years hence, right? So their forecasts have never been that great. And just wanted to show you this, why I think, yeah, things are not going to be as good. They're going to be even worse. And am I saying this because I'm negative? No, it's because I'm a realist. So they see, as you see here, the CPI, they see it still. So you can see that up until, let's say, 2024 or 2023, let's see, yeah, they still see it about around 4 to 6% or even higher, but they see it dropping very quickly by the middle of 2024. They see a negative CPI and the thing is, and look at this, negative CPI. The only times we've had negative CPI has been for very short times during like the 2008 collapse or in March 2020. So I don't buy that. And this is what they forecast in March 2022. So I'm not saying we couldn't go lower here like this, but I don't think we're going to go as far down as this. And this is what Jeremy Hunt and the government are basing all their budget on the fact that they expect inflation to be negative by the middle of 2024. And then they expect household income to magically go up. So that's the OBR. And I wanted to, let's see, Office of Budget Responsibility. Let's have a look. So enough of that. I'll look at your questions now. I haven't been following, sorry, the chat. Sorry if I've missed any of your questions. Echo. In practical terms, what difference will it make if the Bank of England gilts are sold at a heavy loss? Do the losses need to be covered by the taxpayer? Well, they're not Bank of England. Yeah, the gilts that the Bank of England holds. Yes, we already had the Treasury already sent the Bank of England just a month or so ago, a few weeks ago, $11 billion, pounds, sorry, for losses. So yes, we're paying that. We have to pay for those losses. But we're going to pay either way. We're going to pay through our taxes to keep the gilt market stable. But I'm not even sure if it will stay stable. Over here, what does it take for you to be inspired to go to gold investments? What story, issue, or event caused you to make a formal purchase? Oh, okay. I'll tell you the story. It was in 2002, and we just had the dot-com bubble, that burst, and I had the private pension, and it took a hit. I mean, I only started like 7 years before my private pension. It wasn't huge, but my wife and I were talking, and the company I work for, the bank ABN AMRO, they kept paying into the pension, the private pension. But I thought maybe we should buy some gold, something outside the system. And I'd been looking into the Austrian School of Economics, doing a lot of reading. The internet was picking up back then. I was reading the Mises.org website, and I just decided to buy some gold. So I looked up gold online, and actually the first time I bought gold was not from Gold Investments. It was from a jeweler in the city of London called Haynes. He's out of business, gone out of business, but he used to sell gold as well, coins. He used very good prices. And then I found Gold Investments a few months later, and yeah, I started dealing with them too. They were at the time as well in the city. They're in a different address. They're in Leadenhall Market, which was just up the road from where I worked. So I used to go there to see Mike Temple, Simon and Oliver's dad. And he was a very nice man. He's still alive. And I got on with him. And I also used Haynes, the jeweler. John Haynes was a very interesting guy. He told me that the reason there isn't a revolution in England is because we have the national lottery. That's what he said, because people have hope of becoming millionaires, so they don't riot. So if you want to see things get really bad, if they abolish the national lottery, look out. That's according to John Haynes. Pablo Pina, what do you speculate if central banks continue to raise rates in December in 2023? How long can the music continue? Well, I think, the markets are not always right, but there's a futures market, which I used to trade a lot for my clients. My clients were institutional clients. I had a client in one of the big banks, and he used to trade the euro dollar futures. What's a euro dollar futures? Well, it's a future on overnight loans amongst banks, or 3-month loans amongst banks in dollars outside the US, usually in London. The euro dollar future, the euro dollar future is a reflection of these rates, and it's traded in the CME, in the futures market. And it's telling us now that by December next year, the Fed funds rate will probably be lower than it is today. So it looks like the central banks, they're going to be raising rates up until maybe the spring. If things stay as they are, if there is no major crisis, be it geopolitical, be it economic or financial. So these are the euro dollar futures. So this is basically a a future on 3-month money that it's based on LIBOR, is the London interbank rate. So as you can see now, it's discounting 5% because they expect this is where the rate is right now. The Fed funds rate is just below 4%. It's a little higher here. So this is 100 minus 95. So as you can see here, December 2022, if you go to December 2023, it's a little higher. That means that they expect rates to go lower. And if you go, let's say, to December 2024, they see rates already back down to 3. So that's what I see the Fed doing. They're gonna hike, it looks like, on the 4th of December. 3rd and 4th of December is their meeting. So I think they're gonna hike 50 basis points December. They might hike their next meeting after that, another 50, or who knows, there's still a lot of time left and a lot could happen. Joker Alpha says, Mario, I am out of debt and rent. In this economic climate, it's not a good idea to get on leverage for a new home. It depends, because the rent is, yeah, it depends how much down you can put for your, if you buy a home. I mean, if you're gonna have to borrow, I would say more than 70, I would say more than 70% of the value of the property, that's pretty risky. I guess you have to assess the safety of your income, your employment, and how old you are. I mean, if you're under 30 and you have a good job, I don't think it's a bad idea, but you got to make sure you don't borrow like 90% the value of the house, because it's dangerous. I mean, I took a mortgage when we bought our first family home back in, when was it, 1995, or is it 96? Forgot. I think it was 95, 96. And I did have a good income. It was, the mortgage was what? I think it was 2 times my my salary. But yeah, eventually, and I was only what, 30 or 29, 30. So, but if you're in the UK, I would maybe try to fix it for 5 years, because I think rates will go higher. Or you can do, what you can do is have part of it, you can have 2 mortgages, two contracts. One, you can have it floating, so if rates go down, you're okay, and the other one fixed. This is not advice, this is what I would do, but there you go. Chill says, I heard Klaus Schwab was talking the BRICS down as something insignificant. Thoughts? Well, I didn't see that. I saw that he was at the G20. I think he's wrong about them being insignificant, actually. And I think it shows that he's concerned about the BRICS. So there you go. That's what I think. Robert Kenahan, I think a lot of silver especially is draining from the Crimex or COMEX. And I think by March, if this pace continues, there shouldn't be much silver there. LBMA, I haven't looked that much, but yeah, I think the silver squeeze movement is working and is going to continue to get drained. Also gold, I would say. Matt Bittner, is there such a thing as cheap rural property in England? It's not as, no, there could be, but it's not like in the US where you can find a lot of stuff. Maybe in Wales, or yeah, but Echo, thank you for your super chat. If the government issues lots more debt, but to the market rather than funded by the BOE, is that still inflationary? Is that still as bad as QE? It could be because the government is up to here in debt. I don't expect them to do well with their tax receipts because I think they're punishing the private sector. So if the Bank of England doesn't step in with QE, what investors are going to demand is higher yields, and the only way to do that is through lower prices of gilts, and it's going to cost the government more and more to finance their debt, and the higher the cost, the more things become unaffordable, and they'll crowd out as well the private sector. So mortgage rates could go up, loans for businesses will go up, the rates for loans, and that all seeps through into the costs. So yeah, it could be inflationary as well. Whenever government borrows and spends a lot, it's also very inflationary. Oh, you're welcome. Thank Joker Alpha, and thank you for your super chat. I hope that answers your question, Echo. Cobalt, silver, if COMEX runs dry and seizes futures, how will the price be set? Well, it will be set in the market. It will probably be a good thing. It will be set. It will be set amongst the refiners, the miners, the consumers. The stackers. You might have the Shanghai, I think, exchange, the Shanghai Gold Exchange. They trade silver as well. It could be set in Asia. We're seeing that nickel is migrating from the LME in London to the Shanghai Commodities Exchange as well. So yeah, what's the point of having a futures contract, even though they have some futures contract that they call them cash settled? But with gold and silver, if there's no silver on COMEX, there's no point of having a futures contract. Chill. Italian Prime Minister Meloni bashed France's stranglehold on. Yeah, I saw that video. I'm not sure what that when she said that. Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of a spat between Italy and France now to do with some migrants or asylum seekers that Italy turned away, and they had to go to France. But what she said in that video, I don't know when she said that, is true. Why do African countries need fiat currency? They have so much wealth. The thing is, colonialism is supposed to have ended, but I think the Western banks, financiers, have still a lot of influence there. And some years ago, there was a guy called Gaddafi from Libya. He tried to set up a gold-backed currency for the whole of Africa, and look what happened to him. Ash Ward, thank you for your super chat. Please take a look. UK government to subsidize mortgages hidden. Yeah, no, I saw that. I read that. What they're going to do is it's for people on universal credit. They're going to subsidize the interest on the mortgage, not the principal. And instead of, let's say you lose your job, it used to be that you had to wait 9 months to get help. Now it's going to be 3 months. But yeah, that could help sustain the real estate market. I saw that. I have the whole budget here. I did go through it. And I think I tweeted about that. Let's see. I'm on Twitter as well, at Maneko64. So if any of you are on Twitter, let's have a look here. I tweeted about this a few days ago. Let's scroll through. Where is it? Oh, here we go. I'm going to share it with you guys. So, yeah, so we can go through it. So, yeah, there we go. It's page 54 on the budget document, 516, reforming support for mortgage interest. Mortgage interest is not the principal. To support mortgage borrowers with rising interest rates, the government will allow those on universal credit to apply for a loan. So they're going to have to borrow to pay interest. So it's going to make them even more indebted. I think the plan here is like you will own nothing and be happy with interest repayments after 3 months instead of 9. The government will also abolish the zero earnings rule to allow claimants to continue receiving support while in work and on universal credit. This will come into effect spring 2023. So yeah, I did see that, as you can see. Well, all that means is that, yeah, they're trying to keep people in debt more and more. And that's normal because under this current fiat currency, fiat money system, you got to keep the debt spigot going. You can't stop. Intrepid Soul, thank you for your super chat. Robert Tyke Trucking, thank you for your super chat. If the banks and stocks collapse and crypto exchanges collapse, how would we value gold and silver? Well, gold and silver, physical gold and silver are counterparty risk free. What does that mean? Well, they're not traded in these exchanges. Stocks are traded in exchanges. People keep their stocks and shares with brokers. There's very little. I don't have share certificates. It's all electronic. And cryptos as well. If the crypto, we saw FTX, a lot of the exchanges could go under. There's still a lot to come about FTX. But crypto is the same. If you keep your crypto in a private wallet, you won't have a problem. How would you value gold? Well, gold and silver are money. So if the whole system collapses, if the pound collapses, if the currency collapses, the way to value gold is how much someone will exchange, let's say, a loaf of bread. How many would he want, like a silver dime or like a sixpence? I've got silver sixpence from pre-1920. It's all going to be done on a ratio basis. If what you're saying happens, it's just because they're money. It's like you barter, not really barter, because most people would accept silver and gold. So I don't think you have to worry about the price, because if the banks go, if the currency goes, you're going to price things in terms of gold and silver. And that's how it really should be, because they are like real money. So someone might sell you a car for an ounce of gold, a nice car, because if there's no other money around, an ounce of gold will become very valuable. You could buy a Porsche or something or whatever. You just have to work out with the other person. Intrepid Soul, thank you for your super chat again. Ken Close says, hi, Mario. Hi, Ken. Michael Kennedy, hello. Accept payments in gold for oil. Libya has oil, so could have bought gold. Well, that's what Gaddafi wanted to do, a gold dinar. And I think when NATO, i.e. the US, France, and Britain invaded Libya, they stole all their gold, Gaddafi's gold. Native American London prices are crazy. Well, in terms of pounds, yes, but for Americans, it's come down a bit because the pound has come off uh, in the last year or so. It has rebounded recently, but yeah. Jason Warner said he would exchange bread for my silver. There you go. Tom Cat would sell some gold for land, or you could sell your gold or silver if you need to go somewhere. Someone that owns a private jet and all the airlines are kind of inactive and you need to go somewhere, you could pay someone with gold and they'll take you somewhere. I think Donald Trump a few years ago, he accepted gold as a deposit for a deal in real estate. Hi, Silver Task. Thank you for being a moderator. Joker Alpha says, I saw the market at the market head of lettuce is $4. That is a quarter of an ounce of silver. There you go. Does it make silver undervalued? I'm not sure. I don't really follow too much the price of lettuce. I would say so. The thing to do is maybe to check the how much lettuce was in 1964, and to see that, because in 1964 the coinage was still silver. Then you can compare it. My wife went shopping. I think it was yesterday. I didn't go yesterday because I was busy doing other stuff, and I was surprised because she only had like just 5 bags of shopping, and it was 156 pounds. She was surprised as well. She said things have gone up, and she did buy some wine, but they're not expensive. The bottles were less than 4 pounds. So yeah, things are going up. I remember maybe a year or two ago, if she went shopping for the week, for the 2 weeks, let's say, and she'd bring 6 bags and it or even more, and it was like 120 pounds. So things are definitely going up in price, or the currency is going down, really. Jim Millward says he's happy to sell his art for metals. Yeah, and I've transacted with Jim before in the past. He's a very good artist. I recommend you look him up. Should they just Google Jim Millward, Jim? Is that it? Robert Canahan says Bill Gates was grown in a lab. No, come on, people, give Mario and Billy a big thumbs up, mash the like button. I noticed that guy, what's his name? Sam Bankman Fried. He's fried or freed. He's a vegetarian, but he's not in very good shape for a 30-year-old. So there you go. If he was on the carnivore diet, I think he'd be a lot healthier. Jeff McClendon, what's your favorite gold, silver, and uranium miners? Uranium, I have some UROY, uranium royalty. Silver, I've got the majors like Hecla, Pan American Silver, and First Majestic. In gold, I've got Newmont and Barrick. And yeah, I went to the Precious Metals Summit in Zurich. Yeah, it was earlier this week. It was Monday and Tuesday, and I met a lot of the CEOs and executives from junior miners, and there's a lot of interesting companies. I met like 21. Would I say all of them are worth investing in. And not really, but some of them caught my attention. One of them was EMX Royalty. I think that that's an interesting company, EMX Royalty. Am I telling you to buy it? No, but I probably am going to buy some. Yeah, and I'll probably make a video about this and go over some of the companies that I think are interesting. I met an interesting CEO from Australia, uh, Alex Scanlon, and he's the CEO of Barton Gold. It's one of the only big gold projects in South Australia, which is not very well known for gold. And that looks like an interesting project, Barton Gold in Australia. Again, miners are very speculative. They're not safe. So that's all I have to say about it. But they can pay off. You know, it's and I would never borrow to buy those. I just put a little bit that, you know, that you can afford to lose and hold on to it. Echo, I do have miners in ISA. That's right. And ISA is it's like a tax-free account in the UK. You can put up to £20,000 a year. So that means if your shares were to go up to like 200,000, let's say, if you did really well, you wouldn't be liable for capital gains taxes. And yeah, you can earn dividends and you don't pay any tax. So yeah, ISAs are good. There is a limit though, £20,000 a year. I guess if you're a multi-millionaire, it doesn't help you too much. But for me, it's been good. I try to put as much as possible into my ISA account. Silver Task, is it options week? Well, Silver Task, I used to be a futures and options broker, and I knew when options expiry was, and I think it is. It's the third week of the month. Is it the precious metals? I think it would be gold and silver options expiry. So you might be right. You know, and I also traded options on bonds, 10-year futures, and they have all different expiries. But let's have a look here. I'll tell you. COMEX silver options. Options expiry dates. Oh, here we go. I don't think it is. It could be. Yeah, because you could be right. This is, I'll share this with you guys. So you can see Silver Task says silver options shall expire at the close of trading 4 business days prior to the end of the month preceding the option contract month. So let's say the December options on silver, they will expire, yeah, 4 business days before the end of November. And I guess it's going to be around the corner. I haven't looked at the calendar. So it could be this week, because I think, or is it? Yeah, it could be Friday. I'm not sure. You'd have to look in on the calendar. And I guess Thursday is not going to be a business day because it's Thanksgiving in the US. Friday is a business day though. Thousands Silver says he bought Toma Gold, Canadian junior gold miner. Yeah, I think it was what's his name, Pierre Lassonde. He was in Zurich. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to listen to him, but he did an interview with Kitco Mining in Zurich, and I listened to it today. He said, you know, there's 3,000 to 4,000 junior explorers, companies that are trying to make it big, and he said maybe 10 of them will make it. A lot of them, though, what I've learned is a lot of these companies, they buy properties near areas where there's been a lot of success, and they explore it, they drill it, they try to get good numbers, and then their expectations is to get bought out by a bigger company that has the wherewithal to put it into production. It's a risky business, that's for sure. Desert Sky, do you think Basel III will happen like we thought it was? Basel III is, that's the thing, people focus too much on Basel III and gold, but Basel III has been going on for quite a few years, and it's implemented gradually. And the 85% equity position, that's for unallocated gold, which is not real gold, but for real physical gold, it would be 100%. So there you go. But we've seen recently, and I made a video about it, that the Bank for International Settlements, they're almost closed out of their allocated gold, or what they call gold swaps. So they've stopped dealing in paper, which is interesting. Robert Cannon says American needs to go back to silver coins. I mean, people can, if you know people who, you can still deal in silver coins. You just have to find someone that wants them and has something that you want, and he wants to get rid of that. There's nothing that says you can't. Native American says miners have done nothing. Yes, they're very undervalued, and it's probably the best time to buy them if you can, sweat through it. I think it's usually a good time to buy when it's like I would say the sector is hated and it's not doing well, and I think the fundamentals going forward are still very good. Echo, if people on the show have minor shares outside of NYSE, is it worth them considering to sell them and buying them back immediately in the NYSE? Well, it's up to them, to decide what to do and how much they have. But I mean, or open a nice ISA account and start buying there, or you could sell. You'd have to sell your shares, your miners in your brokerage account, and then open an ISA account, send the money there and buy it again. So you're going to be paid commission a bit, but it could be worth it in the long term. Okay. Spock 2024 says, my grandmother earned $7 silver a week. Was a very good wage. Interesting. I mean, $7 silver. The silver dollar is about 0.72 of an ounce. So I think it shows that the spot price of silver is undervalued. Son of a silver stacker, is Basel a compulsory set of regulations? No, I think they're just regulations that banks, the too big to fail banks, are supposed to follow, but there's no policeman telling you to do things. Recently, there is something about the the EU wanting to water down the Basel III regulations. So it's set up, it's drawn up by the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. And ultimately, national banks, like banks in the UK or in the US, they don't have to follow it, but so it doesn't, a lot of times it doesn't stick. The thing about Basel III, why is it Basel III? Well, because Basel 1 and 2 didn't work. So every time there's a huge crisis, they have to bring in new rules. So maybe we're going to get Basel IV soon. Uh, Jana Williams says in 1929, my dad worked every night washing dishes in a restaurant, put himself through Creighton University Law School. Yeah, I think what happened there is that the money was still relatively sound in 1929. So even people who did those kinds of jobs, the money was worth something. It was more valuable. Nowadays, with inflation, it's very hard for someone with a job like that to do that, and it's getting harder and harder. And countries like I think there's still one country like Switzerland. Uh, their currency is relatively strong, but not great. But any people with, let's say, a job like that get paid relatively well in Switzerland. Yes, the cost of living is very high, but they get paid well. So we got 10 minutes to go. Joker Alpha, if BRICS nations implement a gold standard, what would that do to the US dollar? Well, it would be pretty lethal for the dollar. Not that it will disappear, but yes, because gold is the anti-dollar, and there would be a rush away from the dollar, I would say. And I think there already is. And we saw that treasury holdings by foreigners went down by 4.1% in 1 month from October to September. So I think, yeah, these countries and other countries that are involved in like the new Silk Road. I saw Uzbekistan. They bought about 37 tons this year. Uzbekistan, they've got almost 400 tons. And it's a big country, 34 million people. It's one of the biggest gold and uranium producers. And it's bigger than Germany, Uzbekistan. Many people forget that. And I think this is going to continue. Native Americans, stay away from the booster. Blair Rowland, morning, Mario. A friend told me recently to buy up Australian opals as the land is being given back to the Aboriginals, and mining them will slow down. My stack looking even shinier. So, all right, opals, interesting. Crypto Bear, I bought a load of rare Britannias with my teacher's pension lump sum a couple of years back. I sell a few now and again with a good profit, free of capital gains. Yeah, Britannias and sovereigns, no capital gains. But the capital gains, yeah, I think they're lowering that in the budget. Right now it's £12,000. But from next April, the threshold for capital gains is going to be 6,000. And then in 2024, they're going to drop it to 3,000. That's going to hurt like investors. It's going to hurt businesses. I mean, that's why I was surprised they didn't do anything to the ISA. They could change that. It's still 20,000. You can put tax free. Yeah, gold sovereigns are a good size. I think they're just about the size of a quarter ounce eagle. I think there are quarter ounce eagles. So yeah, that's a pretty good size, because a 1 ounce is a little bit too bulky. The $20 gold piece is about 0.957 of an ounce, so it's almost an ounce. The double eagle, that's 1933 and before. I think now the US Mint makes the 1 ounce eagle, which is like they give it a $50 face value. MMNO says 859 watching, only 363 likes. Yeah, it would be good if the likes went up. Bob Hunter, thank you for your super chat. Do you ever get the feeling that you're up to your neck in miasma of corruption with corrupt politicians who have turned into a bunch of fascists? Well, of course I do. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle, but hopefully, I don't know, people will have had enough of it. But right now, yeah, things are really bad. There's another story that I wanted to show you guys, and it's to do with all this that makes, I've a lot of people that I chat with, friends, they're getting angry, they're saying, what are they doing? Like this story here, hotelier refuses a £1 million offer from Home Office to house asylum seekers. So good on him. This guy who owns a hotel. The Home Office is like the Department of Interior equivalent in the UK, and they're bringing in all these refugees into the UK, and they're housing them in hotels. But the more outrageous thing about this is this here, and I'll highlight it. There are now 200 hotels across the UK who have accepted contracts to house asylum seekers at a cost of £7 million pounds per day to the UK taxpayer. So that's where our tax money is going. And this is just to house them. This doesn't count the pocket money that the government gives these people. So this is just the housing, 7 million times 365. That's 2.2 billion pounds of our money. And they're saying we got to close this 55 billion pound hole, but they're doing this to our tax money. So yeah, that does make me angry. It goes to show corruption. And the other story I wanted to show you guys, and thank you for that question and the super chat, because it's reminded me of this. It's this here. This has made me angry too. Taxpayers left in the dark over the largest state rescue since RBS. So Bulb was an energy company that collapsed in November last year, and they talk, and the bill could be up to 6.5 billion pounds. So you get that, you add the other 2 billion for the refugees, that's almost 10 billion pounds. And the thing about this, the energy crisis started last year, way before the Ukraine war, and they keep blaming Putin for everything. So there you go. That's my rant there. What else? Yeah, there was something else I wanted to talk about in terms of being angry about the corruption. But there is a guy, Richard Tice from the Reform Party, who looks like a breath of fresh air. Let's see if you have an impact on the political situation. And also GB News in the UK, Neil Oliver, I listened to his, he gave a presentation yesterday, really good. He's like spot on with everything. So there's still hope. But yeah, taxation is just up to here. Mario, are UK sovereign coins similar to US constitutional coins? Yeah, they are legal. Sovereigns are legal tender. They're their nominal or nominal value, excuse me, is a pound, even though they cost almost 400 pounds, fiat pounds to buy, and they're tax-free. Yeah, sovereigns are like money. And so, yeah, they're coins of the realm. And so are Britannias, the 1 ounce Britannias. Yeah, Paul, that's just for the housing. That's not the extra stuff that they pay them. It's amazing. Mark my words, mark me words, Reform UK, may as well give them a go. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people thinking about leaving the country, but where do you go? There's not many places, but I'm considering it. Um, but at the same time, I like living in the UK, but if it gets a lot worse, um, who knows? But I'm lucky that I'm being able to cope with this crisis, but a lot of people are, I think, suffering, and it's going to get worse. So there you go. And does that mean that everything's going to be bad here in the UK? No, you can still flourish. You just have to find a way. Uh, there's an old saying, where there's crisis, there's opportunity, right? So there you go. Scott 49, 140 on top of taxes they use to pay the bonds. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you can't have the bond market melt down, so you need to keep a noose on people so they work for you. That's what it is. But as I said earlier on the live stream, it might backfire on them, because if you tax the private sector too much, there won't be any tax receipts. What they should have done is cut the size of government where they can. For example, stop the war, stop sending money to the Ukraine, stop housing these refugees, stop HS2, which is like this infrastructure project to build a railroad to Manchester. That's going to cost, like, some people estimate 150 billion pounds in like the next 10 to 20 years. You stop those things and things would be a lot better. And then you cut taxes and you energize the economy, but you scrap this climate change act, and you go back to normal. You use petrol, you use coal, and you use everything. And hopefully that's what will happen. And maybe the Reform Party will do it, even though I'm not very hopeful about politicians. So there you go. Echo, are you aware of any websites? No, I'm not. I'm not. That I usually buy from the dealers. I buy from Gold Investments, usually, my silver. All right. So I think I've gone through my my time. I thank all of you for being here. I thank all of you for your thumbs up, for your questions, for your super chats. And yes, and I wish you all a great coming week. And for my viewers in the US, I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. So take care, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.